The emergency room at a small town hospital in Texas was unusually quiet that afternoon. Nurses moved quickly between rooms, the sound of monitors beeping softly in the background. Families whispered in waiting chairs, hoping for good news. Then suddenly the glass doors opened. The loud rumble of a motorcycle echoed outside. A few seconds later, a tall biker walked through the hospital entrance wearing a black leather jacket covered with road dust. His heavy boots tapped against the clean hospital floor. Everyone froze. The receptionist looked up, unsure what to say. A young nurse standing nearby paused with a clipboard in her hand. The man looked intimidating, long gray beard, tattoos on his arms, and eyes that looked like they had seen a lifetime of hard roads. People in the waiting room quietly stared. The biker slowly walked to the front desk and spoke in a deep but calm voice. "I'm looking for room 214, Mr. Harold Bennett." The receptionist hesitated for a moment before checking the computer. "Yes, but only family members are allowed." The biker gently nodded. "I know," he said softly. "He's my family." The words confused everyone nearby. A nurse finally stepped forward. Sir, Mr. Bennett is very weak. He hasn't had visitors in days." The biker took a deep breath. "That's why I'm here." The nurse studied his face for a moment. Something in his eyes didn't look dangerous, and instead it looked sad. After a pause, she quietly said, "Follow me." As they walked through the hallway, hospital staff whispered to each other. "Who is that guy? Is he really family?" They stopped outside room 214. Inside the room lay an old man connected to machines. 93-year-old Harold Bennett looked small and fragile under the hospital blanket. His breathing was slow and uneven. The nurse stepped back. "You can go in." The biker entered the room slowly. For a moment, he just stood there looking at the old man. Then something unexpected happened. The tough biker's eyes filled with tears. He walked closer and gently took the old man's hand. "Old man," he whispered. The old man's eyes slowly opened. For a few seconds he stared, confused. Then suddenly his face lit up. "Jack," he whispered weakly. The biker smiled through his tears. "Yeah, it's me." Outside the room, nurses watched quietly through the glass window. Inside, Jack pulled a chair closer to the bed. "You disappeared for 40 years, the old man said softly. Jack nodded. "I know. I was angry, stupid, young." He looked down at their hands. "But I never forgot my father." The nurse outside gasped quietly. Father? The scary biker was actually the old man's son. Inside the room, Harold chuckled weakly. "You still ride that motorcycle?" Jack laughed softly. "Every day." There was a short silence. Then Harold said something that made Jack's voice shake. "I waited, hoping you'd come back someday." Jack wiped his eyes. "I'm sorry it took so long." Harold squeezed his son's hand as much as he could. "You made it. That's what matters." Minutes passed quietly as they talked about old memories, family stories, and the years they had both lost. Outside the room, even the busy nurses had stopped working for a moment. They were watching something rare: forgiveness. Before Jack left, Harold whispered one last request. "Son, when I'm gone, take one more ride for me." Jack smiled gently. "I'll take 1,000. Harold closed his eyes peacefully, and for the first time in many years, both father and son felt at peace. When Jack walked back through the hospital hallway, people no longer looked afraid. They looked moved. Because sometimes the strongest people aren't the ones who never cry. They are the ones brave enough to come back and say, "I'm sorry." And that day, in a quiet hospital hallway, a tough biker proved that even the hardest hearts can still carry the deepest love.